Mike, give me that stat again before you get off Twitter.
Okay, so the Heat shot 6 of 8 on corner three-point field goals. That's the most they've ever scored against the Bulls in the 15 games that they've played against each other. The most corner three-point shots. Like, some stats just don't need to be taken.
Who keeps that stat?
I have no idea.
Maybe it's a guy like Zach Harper. I got a guy talk some NBA basketball. I'm not sure if he's a big corner jump shot stat keeper, although it's supposed to be, percentage-wise, is the easiest 3 in the NBA. You can read his work at CBSSports.com or follow him on Twitter. Zach, thanks so much for joining us on your personal Christmas. That, of course, is the opening day of the NBA season. What's your reaction to the Heat thumping the Bulls?
Well, I do love that corner 3. That's a sweet spot right there. It was a competitive game throughout most of it, but we were reminded in the second quarter why they were given rings before the game started. They were just that much better on offense than everybody. They had the best offense in the league last year, the best offensive efficiency, and when the ball starts moving, you put Shane Battier in the corner, you put Ray Allen in the corner. The Bulls just couldn't defend it, and we saw who the dominant team was.
And they couldn't score. I mean, it's like they still can't score, Zach. I mean, at the end of the day, the team with the most points, and I get that it's Thibodeau, and they're tough, and they're grinding, but they can't score. And if you can't score more points than your opponents, you're not going to beat them, correct?
That's correct. I mean, it would have been good if Joakim Noah was healthy enough to play, if Luol Deng had actually showed up. You know, Derrick Rose had a good first quarter, but after that, he was a little iffy. It wasn't until really Jimmy Butler got going in the second half that they really had anything. Carlos Boozer's a nice guy, I'm sure, but you don't want him to be the best player in your game.
Let's talk about some of the contenders in the West. You have the Clippers and their new mentality with Doc Rivers. You have Dwight in Houston. Then, of course, you have KD with Westbrook finally healthy and back. Who do you like in the West? Who do you think will be the top 2 teams? Give me that.
I went with the Thunder and the Spurs, which might be kind of lazy, but we keep waiting for the Spurs to start aging to the point where they can't play with anybody anymore. And I've given up on them. It's gotten to a point where I can't doubt them anymore. And then the Thunder, I believe in Kevin Durant. I believe in Russell Westbrook. They have some issues, supporting those guys offensively. But for the most part, you've got 2 of the 5, 6, or 7 best players in the league on one team. I'll take that.
Yeah. No, I still do think San Antonio is going to age. We'll talk about that later on in the show. And I think people are dismissing Oklahoma City when Westbrook does return. Hopefully that botched knee surgery wasn't all that bad. Let's get to the Nets and the new look Nets and whether or not you're buying in. They're trying to create a rivalry with the Knicks, and I don't know what you think about those 2 teams and matching up with one another. But maybe more than anything, it's over $70 million in luxury tax. Jason Kidd is a first-time head coach, bringing in 2 Celtics, Garnett and Paul Pierce. Will it work in Brooklyn?
It'll work to a degree. I don't know if they can challenge the Heat because, who guards LeBron? Andre Kirilenko can do a fine job if he's healthy. Are they going to put Paul Pierce on him? I mean, that just doesn't work anymore. It's not 2010 anymore. And I think that, they have firepower, but I don't trust Darren Williams' ankle right now. And I just think the swarming defense of the Heat will kind of take care of them if they meet in the playoffs. And as for the Knicks, I like the Knicks. They shoot a lot of threes. I like that about them. But trying to fit Amari Stoudemire and Danilo Gallinari in there, that's going to be like an awkward 8th grade dance. There's just not a lot of pieces that fit together.
Yeah, Zach, I mean, I know it's really early in the season, but who can challenge the Heat? Who would be your best guess right now?
I still like the Bulls once they pull everything together. They still have a lot to work out, but their defense is gonna make it tough most nights. And if they can get any kind of offensive rebounding going against the Heat, then they've got a good chance. And then the Pacers. I mean, the Pacers gave them the best run in the Eastern Conference last year. I think they're better this year because they have a bench that can actually put the ball in the basket. And Paul George is a lot better. Roy Hibbert should be better than he was last year. Pacers are probably the team that will give them the most trouble.
I'll point this out, Zach. They really only play with 1 guard, and that being a combo guard in George Hill in their backcourt. That's the one thing about Paul George, even when Danny Granger is not really a guard. Lance Stevenson is a ball-handling guard, but he'll eventually come off the bench. But it's going to be a really interesting season. Zach, you're a tremendous follow. Zach Harper, follow him on Twitter. Read his work at CBSSports.com. Appreciate you joining us here on opening night on Leadoff.
Thanks, anytime.
All right, just ahead. The Flintstones.
Yeah.
The Jetsons.
Good cartoon.
The Simpsons. The Smurfs.
Yep.
The Gronks.
What?
Should the NFL's first family of foolery be getting their own cartoon? We'll look at their pitch and judge it for ourselves. Next on Leadoff.